Welcome everyone to Swimming with Sharks Adventures in Sales Ops. I am your host, Will Smith, and today, well, I say this almost every week, but especially today, we have a special lunchtime Swimming with Sharks for you. So whatever you're eating, let us know. Wherever you're calling in from or checking us out in from. I think I got my words right there. Wherever you're checking us out from, please let us know where that is. If it's on Facebook, if it's on Periscope, if it's on Twitter, if it's on YouTube, let us know. Interact with us and comment and let us know where you're calling in from and let us know what you're having for lunch. Today is a special lunchtime Swimming with Sharks. So brought to you by ManoByte. Thank you for joining us today, and we hope that you are doing well. And today we have a special show, and I say that every week, but today this is the second week in a row where we have somebody from the ManoByte team joining us today. Of course, last week, if you missed it, check us out where you check out all your favorite podcasts. You can listen to it there, or you can check out the replay on YouTube. But last week we had Kevin Dean, the incomparable Kevin Dean, with us, of course, the CEO and founder of ManoByte. And today we have one of our business growth consultants with us today, Bridget Conley, and I'm so excited to share her experiences with you. So much fun to work with her, and she's brought me in with a couple of her clients to do some HubSpot stuff, and it's just always a good time, and I walk away with a great sense of accomplishment because she really does a fantastic job. So let's talk about today's adventure. We are looking at this today. The word of the week this week is lead scoring. And then after that, we are going to have our interview with Bridget. We will then have our power play, and that's a good one. And then after that, we'll go with our question of the day and then wrap things up with until next time. So let's get to our word of the week. Ladies and gentlemen, the word of the week is, and you can probably tell what we're talking about at ManoByte these days, we're looking at our lead scoring. That's the word of the week. And so what is lead scoring? That is assigning points or values to certain ideal customer attributes and behaviors. So for example, if you do well with talking with a VP of sales who has a timeline of having a need of 3 months or less, you're probably going to score that person higher. And of course, you can have points that are associated based on those different things. Maybe they have attended your webinar, assign a certain amount of points for attending a webinar, or they have clicked on certain parts of your email, or they have interest in certain parts of your offers. I mean, these are important things, ladies and gentlemen. So what you should do is assign those points so that you don't send anyone that's shown even a small amount of interest in your in what you have to offer, but rather you're sending the most qualified people to your sales department to really engage with them better or even more. And so lead scoring is very important, but sometimes, we like to think of setting things and then forgetting things and then saying, oh, our lead scoring is done. Or maybe a year ago, we did our lead scoring, and unless you've been living under a rock, things have changed. And so maybe it's time to revisit your lead scoring, which is something that we are doing currently at ManoByte. And so how do we do that? How do you revisit or even start with lead scoring? And number one, of course, talk to your current customers, or at least analyze and look at the data that you have on your current customers. Your current customers will tell the story. Start to talk to sales as well. And one of the things, of course, that we've talked about on Swimming with Sharks, Adventures Adventures in Sales Ops is getting your sales and marketing aligned. That's so very important because, and this is another great way to really get the conversation going. Asking marketing, saying to sales, hey, what's an ideal person that you would want to talk to? And how can we assign points or how can we assign value to that? So this is very important. And finally, as you're talking to all these people and as you're looking at the data, of course, you can have all sorts of different sources of data. But as you're looking at that, look for those patterns. Look for those commonalities. Look for those things that are saying, hey, we talked to a lot of VP of sales. This is what we want to place in our lead scoring and assign value to all these different things. And so lead scoring is important. And of course, today's power play is going to be, and of course, our question of the day will be related to lead scoring. And so that is our word of the week. I hope you find that helpful. And now, my favorite part, I have the pleasure of introducing to you, ladies and gentlemen, Bridget Conley, who is one of our spectacular business growth consultants at ManoByte. Now, a couple of facts about Bridget here. She saw The Dark Knight before it was officially released in theaters. And of course, you know me, I want to know about this. That's going to be the first question I asked her. Don't worry, she's prepped for it. And so she primarily reads nonfiction, something that I also do as well, biographies and Irish history. She prefers red over white wine and believes that onions, and I added this, she believes that onions are the absolute worst. I added the exclamation point. I don't know if that's truly how she feels, but we'll certainly ask about that. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome to the Shark Tank, Bridget Conley, our business growth consultant. Welcome, Bridget. Good to have you with us today.
Awesome. Thank you all for having me today.
This is fantastic. I feel most comfortable when we are interviewing people from our team. So this is exciting to have you here. So tell me about seeing the movie. I don't know. Are you some sort of Hollywood VIP? How did this happen that you got to see The Dark Knight before it was officially released in theaters?
I think when people ask, what are some fun facts about yourself, I just like to bring this up because it just makes me feel cool. I worked at a movie theater, Carmike Plaza 8 in Jackson, Michigan, represent, for many years. And one of the summers I worked there, we got the release of The Dark Knight. I think it was 2008. And I think 2 nights before it went live, myself and the rest of my crew got to preview the movie in our own auditorium. So kind of doing our own social distancing before social distancing is the thing. But yeah, I just like to tell people that for no reason other than I think I'm pretty cool.
That is pretty cool. All right, follow-up question, DC or Marvel?
Gosh, that is such a big question. I'm gonna have to say DC for the moment because I'm a little done with Marvel. I feel like it's a little oversaturated for me personally. Okay. But I wouldn't fight it out if I had a different opinion than that.
Fair enough. We'll have to watch the comments this week to see if anyone takes you on DC versus Marvel, oversaturation versus maybe DC is the new up and comer now that they've seen.
That's right.
Seen how Marvel's done it.
To unpack, you've got the Nolan Batman versus the Zack Snyder Batman. Like those are totally different situations. So I'm interested to see the comments this week.
I think we could probably do a deep dive with you into, maybe not today, but into Batman history and all that good stuff.
Yes, absolutely.
I actually think there are podcasts out there, but just pertaining to Batman. So might have to check that out.
There's podcasts for everything now, and I listen to a lot of them. So sign me up.
Very true. That's so true. All right. Well, let's get down to business here. Let's talk about what you do as a business growth consultant. 3 big words, but let's say, and I know you have a son, let's say he asks you, what do you do at work? What do you tell him?
So how I usually explain my job at ManoByte, so business growth consultant, essentially I'm a project manager, but it's more than being a project manager. You're involved in strategy, analysis, you're doing the writing, you're doing the content creation, you're sitting in on client meetings and helping to brainstorm next steps. You're thinking about planning for 1, 2, 3 years out. So I think one of the reasons that ManoByte chose the term business growth consultant is project manager being a little more limited for what our job function really is here at ManoByte. So with that being said, what I really tell people what I get to do is all the fun stuff at a company. So designing, analysis, strategizing, all the fun stuff that you'd ever get to do in business, that's my job.
And of course, we have a fantastic team. There's a lot of ManoByte love here today. We have a fantastic team to back you up and we work together to help you make that happen. So
thank goodness we have Slack, and I'm messaging the team every 5 minutes for their expertise.
Yes, exactly. So it's not just even though you're assigned to a particular company, it's not all on your shoulders. Mm-hmm. You have great people that you can rely on, which is always important at work.
And I think that's what makes a good business growth consultant, a good project manager, is to know your limitations and when to reach out. Even if it's something that you are well-versed in, I oftentimes reach out to different team members just to get their opinions, their takes. Hey, how would you do this differently? And I almost always learn something new. And that's another really cool thing about working for ManoByte, for I think all of us on the team, is that you have such a wealth of knowledge with the team that, not that you don't need Google or anything, but pretty much reflect the team just about anything, and that you'll have great insight and next steps for just about anything you could ever come across in our field.
I got to agree with that there. And I said this at the start of the show that I always appreciate when you pull me in for client meetings to help out with stuff. It's more than just sharing knowledge, but it's also feeling valued to say that I'm a part of this team and I can contribute in that way. And of course, I've done the same with you, and I appreciate it greatly. So like I said, a lot of ManoByte love going on here today. So what's one commonly held belief in you think in this industry that you just disagree with?
So in this industry, whether it's inbound marketing, sales, just business in general, one of probably my biggest pet peeves is the thought that more technology is better, that just the bigger your tech stack, the better. And I don't think that's necessarily the case. I think we do a really nice job of this at ManoByte. What's the problem you're trying to solve? Get to the root cause and figure that out before just throwing technology at it. Sometimes I find that organizations want to be seen as forward thinking, which is a great thing to be seen as, and embracing technology. But there does need to be a pause where especially leadership takes a moment and looks at, are we fixing the problem, or are we just putting another Band-Aid on something, or it's actually going to make things more convoluted? So oftentimes for me, as a marketing professional, is to take a moment and just think what the problem is. Because sometimes it doesn't require technology. It requires a process improvement. It requires better communication, and sometimes it does require the technology, but sometimes it's technology that you already have as part of your tech stack. I feel like we do this quite often at ManoByte, talking to different potential clients, current clients, and figuring out, hey, for example, HubSpot. Hey, let's look at the tool that you've purchased. What else can we do with this solution before we start adding stuff on? Doesn't always come to that, but we always try to start there. So yeah, that's my biggest pet peeve, is adding technology for the sake of technology's sake.
Just throwing, I love how you put that, just throw technology at it, which of course is usually synonymous with throw more money at it. Throw money at a problem, and it doesn't work out. And I love that you qualify those, what are you looking to do? Like really digging deep into the final, what's the end goal? What's the dream here, rather than let's just throw it on there and hope for the best.
Exactly.
That's great. All right. So let's talk about stuff that should not happen anymore. And I loved your answer to this. So please elaborate on it. What should everyone stop doing?
Oh my gosh. Well, I'm in B2B marketing, so I'm on LinkedIn quite regularly. And it drives me nuts when people have, and sorry to anyone who has this currently, but the LinkedIn title that it's a sentence and doesn't actually explain what you do. Now, if you have a lengthier title, but it's bulleted out in a way that I know exactly what your position is or what your field is, department of some kind. That's fantastic. It doesn't have to be short for the sake of being short, but oh my gosh, it drives me nuts when I go on LinkedIn and there's these, sonnets that people have attached to their LinkedIn profiles. Like, guys, it's okay to truncate that a little bit.
Yeah, let's cut to the chase.
It doesn't annoy me as much as it does, but it
right. That is a great answer. I don't think I've heard that yet. In 12 episodes, I haven't heard that yet. So, and I appreciate that you're staking your claim. You're putting your flag down. You're saying, hey, this is a problem, people. Let's just cut to the chase and get down to the details.
Summary. Put that in there. I love it. Lengthy, flowery prose in the summary. Let's do it. But the title, let's just
connect with me to find out what I do.
Exactly.
Start a conversation if you really want to know.
Exactly. Oh my gosh.
Oh my goodness. All right. So what should everyone in B2B start doing now? What's your opinion?
So this is probably something that I would say that most B2B marketing professionals do a good job of, but I do think it needs to be said again, is that business to business marketing, it sounds like there aren't humans involved, that it's a building to another building talking to each other. And that's just not the case. It's way more related to B2C than I think most people who aren't marketing professionals realize. It's just more human-centric, actually, where instead of having to have someone decide on the fly if they're going to buy a bag of M&Ms at the Speedway, there's a channel of people that need to buy into, say, a business-to-business solution. So say you're selling product to an accounting manager, that accounting manager needs to get approval from their accounting director. They might have to connect with their manufacturing leadership. They might have to talk to their senior leadership team. So just taking a moment and remembering that just because it says B2B, that doesn't mean that humans aren't a part of it. It's actually more human-centric, and you have to be more cognizant of decision making and how people interact, not just with you, but with internal teams.
Yeah, especially with so many B2B, they have to worry about committees. And that's, there's a whole other element. It's not just one person, but there's also a whole other element of having people, who knows what the dynamic is in that committee. And so you really have to convince a lot of people and get to know a lot of people, and really, so I think you're definitely on point there. It's even more, and I don't think I've heard that before, and I like that a lot. It's even more person-centric, even more so. So tell me about it.
Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
No, that's okay. I think we have a little bit of a lag here, so we're kind of, who's talking next? So let me ask you a particular. What were you going to say? Were you going to expand a little bit more about that?
Oh, just to say that it's said. You see blog posts about it. You see LinkedIn memes about it, if you will. But I just think it needs to be stated again that it isn't a building talking to a building. It's channels of individuals that need to approve the products that are being purchased, and that just needs to be more part of the discussion.
Yeah, I agree with you there that there's definitely an awareness of it, hence the memes and the blog posts, but is it being put into action, or are we just doing the same because it works? Well, that's what we've always done, which of course is the kiss of death.
Exactly.
Let's just keep going, because as 2020 has taught us, if you keep doing the same thing, just probably not going to work.
Seriously.
So tell me about a failure that you have experienced in this space, beyond just this B2B, B2C kind of thing. What have you seen in this space that is just a failure? It's not working.
Me personally, I've been a part of different marketing teams who obviously interact very directly with different sales teams. And in a failure, I guess I would call it, that I've seen time and again, not always, but it happens way too regularly, in my opinion, is being a part of a marketing team that doesn't actually listen and or support their sales team. I think there are failures that run rampant. You see them in business, all over. And I think I've been a part of too many of those situations for my liking. Me being in the marketing side and seeing sales and marketing not always come together and realize that they have the same goal. One may be quarterly, one may be more annually, but how the goal is structured. But I guess that's what I've been a part of and tried to correct over time in my professional career is how can you reach out to sales more, work with sales more, and not only just do that for the sake of getting along, but as marketing professionals, you need the sales team because they are what I would call the foot soldiers. They're hearing things as they're happening, not filtered through, say, social listening tools or Google Analytics. They are hearing it right in that moment. So that's something that I try to do now, especially just after being in the field for so long, is trying to avoid some of those pitfalls that happen, I think, a lot to marketing professionals and to sales professionals.
That is a great statement about the human side. Again, it's going back to the human side. Sales sees the human side of sales and what happens, not the click rate, they don't see the numbers in Google Analytics. They're there with that person. And I definitely agree with you as far as, marketers can learn a lot there. And of course, if you've listened to any of these episodes on, on Swimming with Sharks, talking to the audience now, that it's a big proponent. And one of the things that we want to really focus in on sales ops is that sales operations is also getting involved with marketing. I mean, not only do you have to work together, but how can we be better together and source knowledge from either side? Would you agree?
Absolutely. Absolutely. And something that I would say to anyone who's relatively new in their career as a marketing professional, do what you can to sit in on as many sales calls as you can. Pre-COVID, when you could go to trade shows, stand next to your sales professionals, listen to how they explain the product. Listen how they change the conversation when the customer in the moment brings up, a heated question and whatnot. I have gotten probably some of my biggest insights that way. And then you can take it back and to say, from an inbound strategy, what keywords should I be looking for? What different keywords maybe I should be looking for, different hashtags, different strategies that can honestly be based on one 20-minute sales call that you were a part of between a dealer and your sales rep. And how did they structure that problem to solution conversation? I think that's just really valuable for marketing professionals to hear that and hear, because the salesperson gets an instant reaction in those moments in a way that marketing professionals, we have a much longer term play. So I think it's just always good to switch back and forth between that long-term play and that, hey, this is the 20-minute moment. How are they going to accomplish their goals in, say, the 20 minutes of the sales call, as opposed to me, maybe I have a goal that stretches 6 months. So I think it's a good and healthy thing for both sales and marketing professionals to be a part of.
Especially when you're talking emotions. When somebody has a strong, like you said, when there's a strong reaction, you hear that reaction, you experience that reaction. What caused that? What's the pain that's behind that reaction? Especially, in the example you gave, on that call, what the negative comment, and there's so many resources out there like Chorus.ai or Gong, or there are just things that you can use to record those interactions. And of course, you can record Zoom calls. I mean, like you said, just listening to a Zoom call, even on, 1.5 a little bit faster, you can gain so much from understanding. So I totally agree with you there. Obviously, we're on the same wavelength. We're both at ManoByte, but yeah, for sure. I mean, that's definitely, and that emotion that comes from behind that pain. I always like to say, what are your people Googling when they open up the, they got that blank search bar? What are they writing in there to find you, and why? So they're asking those questions. And I think if anyone in marketing and in sales can really zero in on that and identify that, and we're all very smart individuals, but collectively, if we can work together and get all that knowledge, I think that solves a lot of problems for the customer or the potential customer. You gonna go or I gonna go? We're both looking at each other. All right, who's gonna go? Who's gonna speak next? All right, give me a resource that you really like that you don't think people are using to its best potential.
For me, I think Canva is a fantastic tool. For anyone who hasn't heard of Canva, it is take Adobe InDesign, Adobe Illustrator, and instead of having to use tools that are, like those tools, pretty heavy, labor intensive, you really need some training to handle those tools correctly. What Canva has done is put what you need when creating social media graphics, even something like an ebook, and putting it into a outrageously easy user experience. So anyone on this call can sign up for Canva today, have a free account, and you can go in there and instead of trying to figure out what size should my Facebook post image be, it just has it all built in. And I really appreciate that tool for how fast you can, quite frankly, bust out content, but that you're not having to do the research of what's the LinkedIn image size that's the best to use. You don't have to figure that out. It's already put in that platform, and they've expanded their the use of their tool over time. Just talking to someone the other day, you're able to make even ebooks in there. I would still obviously recommend working with professionals and designers on most of what you do, but for those quick social media pieces that you need, in 20 minutes to stay topical, that's a great resource to have.
Yeah, I definitely agree. I'm a huge Canva fan as well. And you're absolutely right. For speed, I mean, everything's about speed nowadays. And you need it. If you need it fast, do it. It's in Canva. You don't have to worry about the research. And I always, actually, this is not my own. I just heard this the other day. Someone was talking about Canva, and they basically said, give me a blank screen in Adobe, and I don't know what I'm going to do. But give me a template in Canva, or give me options of all these different templates that are already created. I get ideas, and I can say, I can adjust this. I can choose my brand colors and set those and put them in there. So Canva is definitely, if you haven't checked it out, definitely check it out, because those of you that are listening or watching, it's definitely a great resource, and speed is everything, and you don't have to worry about I'm not a huge designer, but the other thing it does for you is it makes you feel like a designer. It makes you feel creative. You just get in there and you're kind of like, oh, I can work with this, and then you can crank that out, and like you said, in 20 minutes or less, and get that content going. Because content, it's got to be out there, and you got to be fast.
Exactly.
Got to
exactly.
Be fast.
I just think that's such a great tool.
So what can't you? So maybe this is along the same lines here, but what tool can't you live without? Canva, you can't say Canva because you just gave that answer. So what can't you live without these days?
So this is a little bit of a shameless plug, but I can explain why I'm about to say this. The tool that I can't live without is HubSpot. And the reason I can't live without HubSpot now is having experienced different CMSs over my career, different social publishing platforms. It's just the easiest tool you could possibly have to handle your content. And so now that I've been using HubSpot, I'm a relatively new HubSpot user. I started with ManoByte, and that was the first time I started using HubSpot. And it was one of the easiest solutions to jump in and learn and get information from. The analytics are fantastic. You're not digging through reports upon reports like in other platforms. So again, selfishly, I can say that because, again, being new to the platform since March, I just wouldn't go back.
Well, I can expand on this for at least another hour, but I won't, because as you know, I'm a huge HubSpot fanboy. So I think I say that at least once every episode. But I gotta agree with you there. It's fantastic, and I've seen people have HubSpot move away from HubSpot, and then come back to HubSpot, or they'll have one CRM and then they'll try another one, and it's almost like 3 times as a charm. They discover HubSpot and then they're set. So agree with you 100% right there. So give me a cadence or a rhythm that you like to have as a leader in marketing.
For me, it's something that I like to make sure that I have a rhythm with is no matter what project I'm about to start. So we have new projects starting all the time at ManoByte. Every time we start a new project, whether it's internally or with a client, I try to come into it with as much of a blank slate as possible. One of my favorite professors, who was pretty much my marketing 101 professor in college, said that one of the biggest mistakes that marketing professionals make is going into a project assuming that they understand the end user. They understand the problem and they understand the solution, because this is, as you said, I think earlier, this is how it's always been done, and I just know that. So even if I go into a project and I believe I know a lot about, the end user that we're targeting, maybe the dealer network, always take a minute to kind of allow yourself to have that blank slate. Doesn't mean you don't bring all of your professional experiences with you, but just even take 10 minutes and kind of pretend you don't know anything about them, and make sure you're asking the right questions, because you might be surprised on what you find. And Will, I know we've had discussions relatively recently about that, going into those starts of projects and asking questions. Don't necessarily bring your bag of answers with you. Start with questions. Even if you have those answers kind of next to you, ready to go, you can't start there. So that's something that I try to do at the start of just about every project.
I recently, I know the book is back here on my stack of books here. I think it's called The Coaching Habit, and it just talks about asking questions, where you really have to get surgical about exactly just get down to everything that you are looking for, so that there's no assumptions. And in the book, they have a list of questions, and I keep them on my desk so that they're easily referenced. So I gotta agree with you there. Questions are, even if, sometimes I feel silly because I ask a lot of questions instead of just bestowing knowledge or saying a lot of pretty words. But it's the questions that really help you get to the root of the matter. So that this is you're so good. This is full circle. So you get to the root of the matter, so that you know exactly what the goal is, so that you're not just throwing software on top of software on top of software and throwing money at the problem. Get to the root and the heart of the problem.
Agreed. And I most of my career, almost a decade, was spent in manufacturing. And the company that I was a part of, I was fortunate enough to be part of a lean conversion, where
Nice.
they started actually having Kaizen improvement events, where they would take a production line down for, say, 5 days and come together as a team, people from all different departments, including myself, who wasn't in manufacturing, come together, you restructure the cell, you brainstorm, what's wrong with the cell, how can you restructure it, work as a team to rebuild it, and then you capture that information and present your findings to the leadership team and the company at large. And I think going through that, I've really tried to bring that with me into the marketing side, taking some of those manufacturing and engineering best practices and seeing how can you bring more of that analysis that I think they do such a great job in the manufacturing space, and bring it into the creative and thoughtful space that marketing is.
I love that. I think that's a really great system there. And of course, there are other systems that exist, but actually, yeah, it's kind of like what we were talking about before. We know these things exist. We are aware of them, but who's brave enough to sit down and say, we're doing this, And
Right.
that may work well for a couple of times, for, just for a little bit. And maybe you get like 1, 2, or 3 meetings. But I recently read a quote that, the success that people have is based on the number of uncomfortable conversations they're willing to be a part of. So meeting 1, 2, and 3 may go great, but things might get hard at meeting 4 and they give up on it. And it's consistency, it's moving forward, getting through those tough conversations.
Agreed.
This is, and I love the system that you just described, especially with manufacturing and their detail and almost hyper analysis of everything that's going on. That's important. We can obviously, even if you're not in manufacturing, or even if you're not in different spaces, you can certainly learn collectively. And
Exactly. And I think that's why where I was at before, where you had these Kaizen events, but they made sure to bring in team members from all different departments, that it wasn't just a function of manufacturing and engineering, that what can accounting gain from this? What can the sales department gain from this? And building a culture around that continuous improvement ideology.
And not just continuous improvement, but alignment, making sure that we're all in this together, so that it's not your department and everybody else, do your own thing. And then we'll see at the the holiday party. That alignment is so essential. And that's really how more things get done.
Completely agree.
All right, so brag time. What's something that you, yourself, or the ManoByte team, something that we've recently achieved that you're pretty proud of?
So recently, we do this quite often at ManoByte, but recently Q4 tends to be one of our busier times of the year, where we get the start of a lot of new, larger projects. And the last couple of weeks, we've been working through some of those projects, and I've been really impressed with how the team has come together with some tighter deadlines and bigger projects. And regardless of where you sit or what experience you have, willingness to jump in and help with getting the projects done successfully and out the door on time, if not before they're supposed to be, delivered. So that's something that I've been really proud of the team on, for sure.
Gotta agree with you there. The speed and willingness to help is just, I can make this happen. And it's amazing when you push yourself and just say, you know what, I got 20 minutes in here. I can do this. I can squeeze this in. Sometimes it's all it takes. And I just saw this on Twitter. Somebody said, I'm gonna start a company, and I'm gonna call it or I'm gonna make a product, 10-minute meetings. And so it's amazing when the pressure is on. So, and I suggested, let's make it 12-minute meetings, and let's go ahead and have the timer visible. And when you get down to when the timer's up, the meeting's shut down, or Zoom closes up or something automatically. It's amazing what you can do when you have those restrictions placed upon you. And Q4 for us is busy, but I got to agree with you. Everyone is just stepping up and really helping out where they can. You in particular, being on the show today. I really appreciate you being here. I knew this was going to be a good show, so I think that's my slick way of kind of segmenting into the next segment. Anything else you want to add from today?
No, but thank you so much, Will, for having me on, and hopefully I can come back at another time.
Yes, definitely. Let's plan on it for sure. But ladies and gentlemen, Bridget, thank you for being with us, and we'll talk to you soon.
Thanks, Will.
Thanks. Bye now. All right, let's move along with our power play today. We're wrapping up the show, and so today's power play, I'm going to go with, you're hearing it from the fanboy right now. I'm going to go right to the HubSpot Academy. Now, listen, everybody knows about the HubSpot Academy. Their certifications, and these are large courses that you can take, and sometimes they take a couple of days to complete, and there's a lot of videos. I mean, you're talking a deep dive into these certifications. Everyone pretty much knows about that. You've been on LinkedIn, you've seen people show their certificates and everything, but this is another element of the Academy that maybe people don't know about, and I want to direct you to it because they have a specific class on lead scoring. It's 2 videos. It's 7 minutes long. That's the power play for today, because when you're done listening or done watching, you can head on over to HubSpot Academy and you can watch this specific skill and learn this specific skill in 7 minutes. Now, they don't just have that kind of just lead scoring. If you want to know something more about Facebook ads or any other small course that you can learn in just a few minutes, maybe just a half hour, you can really boost your skills. Now, I'm more of a reward type person. I kind of need the certificate, to be honest with you, to really motivate me. But if you're looking for a specific thing, if you're looking for a specific skill, go to the HubSpot Academy. And since we're talking about lead scoring today, definitely 2 videos, 7 minutes, basically how lead scoring works in HubSpot. And you can really understand not just that, but also understand the predictive lead scoring tools that are available in the enterprise, in the marketing and sales hubs. So take a look at that. That's your power play. 2 videos, 7 minutes, HubSpot Academy, but also check out their single courses there as well. And question for you, how are you using lead scoring? How are you scoring your leads right now? Please interact with us. Answer the question either on YouTube, on Facebook, on Twitter. Go ahead and answer that question throughout the week. And if you have any questions for me or for Bridget, please go ahead and interact with us. That's why we're doing this, so that we can collaborate, we can collectively learn from each other's knowledge, and so that we can just do better, not only in marketing, but particularly in sales and sales operations, which of course should include more than just the sales department. So how are you scoring your leads? Do you like the way you're scoring your leads? Anything lead scoring related, get in touch with us and let's talk about it. So until next time, get in touch with it. Here's how you get in touch with us. Any one of our socials here at ManoByte. You can talk to me, will.smith@manobyte.com. Bridget is bridget@manobyte.com. Any questions, concerns, short speeches, or anything like that, please get in touch with us. If you want to take on Bridget, DC versus Marvel, you can do that as well. But let's have a conversation and engage with us. And so thank you for joining us today. We appreciate you being with us. This has been Season 1, Episode 12, Swimming with Sharks. We thank you, and until next time, take care of yourself and each other, and may all your adventures be great.